People will stop second guessing you when you're famous. You know, in my area where I sell houses, you know, people know who I am, and that was by design, not default. There's a strategy to it. I'm going to share that with you today. There's a way to do that. And when people know who you are, you don't have to sell yourself.
Welcome to the Success with Listings podcast, where we help you get success in the real estate game the easy way. Now you can get off the roller coaster of feast and famine and out of the rat race of competing with every other agent in town. Hi, I'm Knolly Williams. I took over 1,000 listings during my first 10 years in the real estate game, and in this podcast, I show you how to have success with listings. Let's go.
Now, let's get into part two. We're going to move kind of right along because we got a lot of ground to cover. In this part, we're going to talk about the secret key to generating more listings. The secret key to generating more listings. And here's the secret key. And the question is this: what is that one thing that you could do? And you ask yourself in the first person, what is the one thing I could do to get more listings, such that by doing it, everything else would be either easier or unnecessary? Okay, think about it. What is the one thing I can do to get more listings, such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? And what comes to mind? What comes to mind? Well, the way I answer that is this: become famous. Become famous. Become well known. I don't want to have any secret agents out there. I want you to be a known agent. And what that means is that everyone in your area should know who you are. That's what we're going to learn today. Because if people don't know who you are, you don't exist for them. You should be well known. And by the way, being well known and being famous doesn't mean that you have to be haughty, arrogant, proud, boastful. You know, Jesus was well known. He still is, by the way. And he has none of those qualities. You know, he has none of those negative qualities. So you don't have to be, you know, a hothead to be well known. Everyone should know who you are, because you have a commodity, which is yourself, that they should be purchasing. Absolutely. So how do you do that? How do you become more well known? Well, what I want to share with you here are the 3 secret tools to connect with your sellers and really set you apart. So that gets into really part 3. Now part 2 is really all about that secret. And if you could just snap that into your head, and here's why. Let's go back. Let me show you something. When we talk about, I asked you, what is the one thing I can do to get more listings, such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? You know, I ask that question a lot to a lot of my coaching students. And I'll hear things like, you know, I can do more lead generation, or I can do more prospecting. But think about it. What if you could only pick one thing? Like with us in the music industry, it was like, what was the one thing that we could do, okay, to get someone to pick up that CD? What's the one thing we could do? Because that was the only hope of a sale was to get them to pick up the CD, okay, back then. Now, the one thing we could do was to have fabulous artwork. I mean, fantastic artwork that just made them really be compelled to pick it up. Now, let me ask you a question. What does the artwork have to do with the actual music? Not much, if anything. But we knew that if we didn't have that right, nothing else would work. And so what a lot of my coaching students will, when I ask this particular question right here, a lot of my coaching students will say stuff like, do more, market to my sphere of influence, do more door knocking, do more cold calling, do more lead generation, time block, all these kind of things. But if you could only pick one thing, right, that would make all those other things easier or unnecessary, think about it. If you're a famous person, does a famous person get their calls returned? Yes. So if you're lead generating, guess what? Your phone calls are going to be that much more effective and productive because people know who you are. Does a famous person get their calls returned? Did they get their calls picked up in the first place? If you're knocking on the door, if somebody knocks on your door and it's a famous person, right? Or you're out there knocking and you're famous, people are going to answer the door for you. So everything, whatever you might have thought of in terms of the thing that you could be doing, this is the one thing that you could do that would just augment everything else that you're doing in your business and make it really pop, right? People will stop second guessing you when you're famous. You know, in my area where I sell houses, you know, people know who I am, and that was by design, not default. There's a strategy to it. I'm going to share that with you today. There's a way to do that. And when people know who you are, you don't have to sell yourself. You know, they're telling you, man, Knolly, you know, I'm glad you could list my house. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're real busy. You know, they're practically, you know, not begging me to list their house, but they're back. It's almost like I'm doing them a favor, that I'm actually coming out and collecting money from them. You know, but that's the way people see it when they know you know, that you're famous in your area. You're sought out, you're in demand. So, part 3, how do you become famous? Okay, Knolly, we get it. How are we going to do it? Well, I've identified the 3 secret tools. Now, we knew for an artist that, first of all, it started with the packaging. They had to have a killer CD cover, and then they had to have a fantastic sound, because the CD cover, you know, that was going to drive people over to demo it, and once they heard it, oh yeah, this is going home with me. You see what I'm saying? So we had to have the full package from A to Z. Now, how that translates into your business is that there's 3 secret tools, the first of which is your book. Okay, you say, what's a book got to do with it? Well, when you think about being famous, what do most famous people have? It's almost like, if you think about it, when we had an artist that we were creating, a brand new artist, just debuting, trying to make them into somebody. Is it fake it till you make it? Yes, because nobody knows who that artist is. Now, they have star potential, don't get me wrong. They have what it takes to be stars. But nobody knows them before they know them. So you got to package them as a star before you even put them out. Like, you don't just start them out like, this is a new artist, and you know, they're coming out with shabby clothing and you can barely hear them on the microphone. No, you bring them out because they're already, like, you're already a star. You know, people just don't know that you're a star yet, but they're about to know, right? And so here's the deal. Now, don't get me too excited now, but it starts off with looking your part. You know, if you're going to play a role in a movie, the first thing you want to do is look the part. Don't come on to a movie if it's a period piece from the 1700s, you know, and you're wearing a shirt and tie. That doesn't work. You know, dress the part. Dress the part. And famous people have books. You should have one as well. If you were going to go on the Oprah Winfrey show, you know, just watch some of these talk shows. And they're like, well, my new book, well, I just wrote my book. My book comes out next week. And I got to thinking to myself, I said, man, all these famous people have books. I need to have a book. So that's what I did. I wrote a book. And this book actually helps people through the process of deciding whether they want to sell their house or not from the very beginning, all the way through to closing on their house. So it leverages my time throughout the entire process. Let's say, for example, you see somebody at the gym, and you might see that person day in, day out. They're thinking about selling their house, right? They're thinking about it. They know you sell real estate. Are they going to come up to you and talk to you about selling their house? No. Okay. Now, once they decide that they want to sell, they might talk to you. But just while they're thinking about it, they don't want to talk to me, right? They don't want to talk to you, because we're considered salespeople. And if you're going to think about it, if you're going to go buy a brand new truck, a new car, who's the last person you want to see? Huh? The last person you want to see is the salesperson, right? But when you roll up on the lot, it's like you get that feeling like, man, here we go. I'm on the car lot. Here he comes. And you see the salespeople start to walk toward you. You know how you feel. Well, believe it or not, okay, this is the same way prospects feel about us, okay? We don't like to believe that, but when you look at the trustability index in the United States of America, realtors are the least trusted profession in America. Okay, we used to be sandwiched in between attorneys, between lawyers, and used car salesmen. Okay, now we're dead last. Now, other people have taken a toll too, like the clergy, right? They used to be at the top. Now they're like ranked number 7. So we're not the only ones that are slipping. But people just don't trust us. Now, once they get to know you, they like you, they know you, they trust you because you're a great person, you're trustable, right? But before they know you, there's a lot of apprehension. But your book is going to help people get to know who you are, right? I'm throwing them around. They're going to get to know you. Another thing that it does is it leverages your time. So you look at marketing your home. People want to learn about you from a distance. That's the reason why if you're going out to a steak restaurant or going out to eat, you don't want to walk into the restaurant and ask and interview the people that work there, the maitre d', and say, hey, how's your food? You're not going to trust that person. You're going to go straight to Yelp and look at the opinions. Now, if you're going to buy a brand new laptop, like it might be a new a Mac or a Lenovo, whatever it might be, you're not going to go to the manufacturer and ask their opinion. You're going to get other people's opinion. You're going to go and kind of look around and see what you can find. Well, the way people are programmed, when they get your book, they're going to read all about, what you do to get home sold, right? And so I used to just tell people to write their own book, but I had a coaching student that kept after me. He was like, man, why can't I just use your book? And so finally I went ahead and did it to where I licensed the book and allow people to use it at no cost to you. All you're going to do is go get some sponsors, a handyman, carpet cleaner, home inspector, moving service, house cleaner, and a painter. Each of them pays you 99 bucks. It pays for the entire system, right? And not only that, but your sponsors are going to pay you that every single year, right? So you're going to actually make money after you license the book. You're going to be making additional money just from having the book in your repertoire. Now you can write your own if you want. What I recommend, if you write your own, it's going to be about 13,000 words. It'll probably take you about 6 weeks. If you're a writer like me, if you're not a writer, it might take about 3 months to write it. You set aside that time and you spend a few hours a day, or you could just license mine, no cost to you. Essentially what I did with this one is I created it, and it's completely de-Knollyized, so none of my information is in here. It's in Microsoft Word, so you can go in and tweak whatever you want to, or you can leave it exactly like it is and just change the cover. What people are doing, this is kind of another example. You could just change the cover, put your logo, your company on it, and then you've got your own book. So the key though that I really want to get into your head is that if you want to become famous, you got to start looking the part first, right? And what do famous people have? A book. You're famous, you should have a book. Now, what's the second thing that a famous person has, right? If you're an athlete or you're an actor or a musician, what do you have? You have a press kit. A press kit. Now, in our business, we call this a pre-listing package, and I'm going to share with you what my pre-listing package looks like right now, because I think this will really help you as you're developing yours. And I'm going to quickly go through some of the key things that I have in my pre-listing package. First of all, I put it in a yellow envelope like this. I call it a gaudy yellow envelope. I get these on Uline, uline.com, uline.com. And the reason I put them in this yellow envelope is so that they really stand out. I also have a portfolio folder like this, right, that I put it in. And I do little tricks like this. Look at that. You got your business card there, you pop it off, boom, consider it sold, right? Little tricks like that go a long way. And a lot of you don't want to spend the extra money, but you should spend just a little bit of extra time and money on your marketing materials, because that's what people are going to judge you by. You say don't judge a book by the cover. Guess what? They're going to judge your book. They're going to judge you by how you present yourself. So this is what I call a seller's kit, and here are the pieces that are in the seller's kit. And I'm gonna tell you what these are, and we're gonna go through them. Now, what is a pre-listing package to begin with? Now, we always seek to have a pre-listing package, and what we like to do at the Knolly team is we like to get this pre-listing package to them prior to us going out and meeting with them. There's a lot of material in the pre-listing package. I'm gonna quickly go through them today, just so we'll be able to stay within our time frame. But just rest assured that there's a lot of great material in here that's going to help you succeed. Now, the first one is your cover page. This is all of this that I'm going through with you right now. This is stuff that you could easily create on your own. Okay, your cover page, I like it to be colorful and impressive. You're going to seek to wow the client from the very onset, and you want to blow away the competition. So that needs to look really, really good. You want to have a cover letter in there, right? And all your cover letter is doing is just speaking to them about who you are, what you have to offer, and introducing yourself, meeting their needs. And it's got a table of contents. It shares with them everything that is inside the actual, I call it press kit, right? The next thing you're going to have in there is a marketing plan. Now, your marketing plan is going to have all the details, your checklist of how you're going to get their house sold. And it's really going to add that wow factor. It's your detailed plan for getting their home sold, and it sets you apart. Testimonials. Now, we don't like to use the word testimonials anymore, but I put it here because that way you understand what this is. But we'll use something like, for example, I'll show you mine. We call it real results. See that? We call it real results. And this gives prospects a reason to trust you. It helps them identify with how you can specifically solve their problem, okay? And it lets others brag on you from a third party perspective, okay? So in other words, it's like these people are bragging on you and you don't have to do that yourself. So really when you go to the listing appointment, you don't really have to say anything about what you do to get home sold because they already know. They read, all your marketing that you do, your marketing plan, and then they looked at your case studies. Okay, so this one I would like you to call it your results, your case studies. Okay, or you can even call that reviews. Those are more popular terms nowadays than testimonials. Now let's look at what's the next thing in your press kit. The next thing you're going to have is a special report. Now, the special report, what that does is it identifies the key things that cause homes to not sell and causes the client to know that what we're going to do, in other words, we realize what makes homes sell and what makes them not sell. Now, this works especially well if you had a client that had a bad experience in the past. So, for example, I'll share with you how I use mine. So, this is the top 4 reasons why homes don't sell. So if I'm at a listing appointment, I say, or even before then, in the press, the pre-listing call, I might be on the phone with Clara, and I say, Clara, are you aware of the 4 things that create a home not being able to sell or create a sale? Or are you aware of the 4 things that cause a home not to sell? And Clara's going to say, well, no, tell me more about that. Well, Clara, it's either poor marketing, bad photos, you had a lousy agent, or price. Now this especially works if you had somebody that had their house on the market before. You just go to them and say, John, you had your house on the market before and it failed to sell, didn't it? It failed to sell. Now, John, what I've come to understand in my experience is that the reason why your home failed to sell is going to be one of these 4 reasons. Either you had poor marketing, bad photos, a lousy agent, or you didn't have the right price. And then you just ask them, John, which of these 4 do you think affected the sale of your house? Now, I guarantee you most people will never say that it was their price that created that caused their home not to sell, because they just don't go there. So I've got a lot of scripts around that. We don't have time to go. I've got 10 scripts to work with overpriced sellers, people that are, thinking too high. But if I take a listing, I use all my scripts, and then if I happen to take the listing at what I call their price, in other words, okay, John, we're going to try it for 1 week or 2 weeks at your price, and then we'll go with what the market is saying, right? Because you and I don't have an opinion. It's what the market's saying. The market speaks very loudly. We don't have to speak for the market. The market can speak all on its own and for itself. So if I go back to John in 2 weeks and his house hadn't sold, I go back to John and say, hey, John. Now I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I want to share with you how this tool is helpful. I say, hey, John, your house hadn't sold yet, and we've gotten several offers on some of our other properties that are very competitively priced. And let's go back through, John, and look at why homes don't sell. Can we review that again? Great. Well, number 1, John, is poor marketing. Now, we're pulling out all the stops. We've got our slick marketing plan in place. In fact, you and your wife said that the marketing is fantastic. You wouldn't change a thing about it. So the marketing is not the problem, right, John? No. Great. Okay, bad photos. Now, remember we had that drone fly through your house, flew through the front door, flew out the back, right? Remember that, John? And we had, all kinds of different angles taken of your home, and you guys love the photos. So bad photos wouldn't be the reason. Now, John, do you have a lousy agent? You've got me on the job. Do you have a lousy agent? I wonder what the problem could be, John. What do you think the problem could be? right? Now, it only leaves them with that one alternative, which is price. And so this is a handy dandy piece that helps you get those listings right priced quickly. Now, the next thing that we have is what we call an agent interview. The agent interview dispels the common consumer view that all agents are created equal. It gives clients an excuse to trust you with their most valuable asset. And it reinforces that they made the right decision by hiring you. So what we came up with, one of the things that I did was I came up with now this is a money piece. It's the top 10 questions you must ask any agent before you list your home. Now, the good news is that 72% of sellers will meet with one agent before they list their house. The purpose of this webinar is really to get you to be that one agent that they meet with. But if you happen to be going on a situation where people are interviewing more than one agent, maybe 2 agents or 3, this is a handy dandy piece for you to be able to give them a quick questionnaire where you have your question, your answer, and then basically what they can do is they can interview you before they ever meet with you. So we call that an agent interview sheet. And we actually encourage them to use this if they're going to be interviewing multiple agents. It's a great sheet that really helps. The next piece that we have is our top 10 reasons. Now, what you want to do is you want to give people reasons that they should trust you with the sale of their most valuable asset. And that's what this piece does right here. It's the top 10 reasons to trust the sale of their home to you. So it gives them 10 reasons. It also gives clients an excuse to trust you with their most valuable asset. And again, like I said, it reinforces that they made the right decision. Okay, that's the top 10 reasons, because people, in order for someone to do business with you, the possibility of trust has to exist first. And so that's what this creates, is the possibility of trust with that person.
Well, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Success with Listings podcast. If you are serious about taking your real estate career to the highest heights, making more money and helping more clients while working less hours and spending more time with your family, be sure to get your copy of my free book, Triple My Listing, absolutely free at successwithlistings.com. Now, you want to be sure that you subscribe to the podcast and check out successwithlistings.com to get your copy of my free book. Hey, I'll see you on the next one.